and this is Samantha here from RecipeThis.com and the popular Kitchen Gadgets podcast, Magic with Gadgets. Today I wanted to show you a few different ways that you can air fry frozen chicken pot pie. It's just one of those fantastic easy things, and I've got two different sizes of pies. And of course you'll be amazed by how tasty they are in the air fryer. You can also reheat your own chicken pie. Maybe you made some a few months ago and froze the leftovers. Well, you can also follow this recipe with those too. And we also have 450 plus more easy air fry recipes over at RecipeThis.com, as well as a fantastic air fryer mini course which is free, and our free air fry newsletter. I recommend you check it out, and if you have any questions or comments you can reach out to us or just comment on this video. So a complaint that I received some time ago about our chicken pot pie is that someone cooked them from frozen and they complained that they were still frozen after the recommended cook times. Well, when we do 4 regular sized frozen pies, it takes us 18 minutes followed by 2 minutes at a high temperature to give them a lovely golden glow. But what we also appreciate is that chicken pies are completely different sizes. So what we've done is to show you in this frozen video is to get 2 different sizes and then see how the air fryer fry. So what I've got is I've got one of the small bird's eye short crust chicken pies and the Pucker Pie brand of the chicken and mushroom. Though I would have preferred to have got you 4 of the ones from the post, but we're recording this during lockdown and Brexit, and supplies are not available, let's say. So let's have a look at these pie sizes, shall we? I've never done either of these 2 brands of pie before. I just want to see how it compares to the ones that we normally do. So let's have a look at the sizes. Wow, that is quite a difference in size. So can you imagine somebody that's got a large chicken pot pie trying to air fry it and then complaining it's still frozen compared to using that size? I would actually say that the chicken pot pie we did last time is somewhere in between these 2 sizes. So I recommend you start with our cook times if you've got a large one, check on it and then adjust and give it more if it needs it. So what we're going to do is we're going to put both pies in together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with 10 minutes. And then you can actually see how far along the smaller pie is and how much longer the bigger one needs. You can kind of tell that the other problem you've got there is you've got one pie that's obviously already cooked, another pie that isn't. And this shows that you can actually do your own frozen homemade pies. If you've got leftovers, load them in the freezer and then follow this method. So let's put the pies in. So let's set the time and temperature. I recommend that for this we start with 10 minutes and then we can see how they're doing and see how well pies actually cook from frozen in the air fryer. And then of course if you want to bring your temperature up to 160 Celsius, 320 Fahrenheit. Do also note that our air fryer is preheated. If yours isn't, I recommend adjusting your cook time to 12 minutes instead of 10. And then press start. Okay, we've beeped. They've done the first bit of cooking time and now I'm going to check on them. And just like I would have expected, the one that was uncooked is nowhere near, as you can see. And then the one that was pre-cooked is quite a way off too. So I'm wondering whether they're going to end up with similar cooking times, because one's bigger but it's already cooked and one's smaller and you're cooking it from scratch from frozen. So we're going to put it on again for the same cook time. So let's set the temperature and the time. Right, if you notice it's still on 160 Celsius, 320 Fahrenheit. And then for the cook time, it's set for 10 minutes. So you just want to press start again and then we'll come back and check again in 10 minutes. So the air fryer has done 20 minutes on these chicken pot pies. Note that, like I mentioned before, one of them is pre-cooked and one of them isn't. So at 20 minutes is a good time to check on them to see how far along they are. So the best thing to do to see if your pies are on the way is to cut into the pie with a knife, and then you can kind of see how far along it is. The easiest thing to do is to get a knife inside the pie, put your knife under for a couple of minutes, a few seconds, and then you want to feel the knife. If it's hot, if it's really hot to touch, that means it's at the right temperature to serve. So this pie, interestingly, is nearly done, and that's probably quite similar to the pies that we actually used in our recipe. So that's why our pie recipe was spot on and somebody else was having problems. Whereas go with this pie, for example, and we're cold. So you can see now that these smaller pies are easier to cook from frozen in the air fryer, even though they've not been cooked, and the ones that are already cooked can take some time. So what I recommend you do is you remove the smaller pies at around 22-23 minutes. If I was just cooking this pie on its own now, this one I'm talking about, I would increase the temperature up to 200 Celsius, 400 Fahrenheit for about 2 or 3 minutes. Maybe add a bit of egg wash, and then you would have a lovely golden glow pie because it is cooked now. But with this one, I would recommend that you go with another 8 minutes or so on 160 Celsius, 320 Fahrenheit, because then you can get the centre of the pie cooked. So spray with extra virgin olive oil or egg wash, and it's going back in on its own for 3 extra minutes at high temperature, and it will just give you a better glow on your pie. And we've baked. Wow, now you can see there's a much better glow on the pie, and it's much more like how your pies look when you cook them in the oven. And this is perfectly cooked now, and it's just ready for tucking into. And now I've swapped it over and I'm putting this one back in. But what I will say about these kind of pies is they're really not ideal for the air fryer. They've got kind of like a phyllo pastry topping, and you can see that the pastry is kind of coming off, and we found some in the air fryer basket in between cooking. So note that the other type are much easier to do. So let's place it back in, and we're going to down the temperature to 160 Celsius, 320 Fahrenheit, and I'm going to do 8 minutes and then see how it's coming along. We've baked, so let's check on our pies, shall we? Okay, so this is the pie that was taking forever, so let's check on it, shall we? I recommend a knife through the middle bit, because it's always the middle bit that always takes the longest to cook, and then check your knife to see if it's hot enough, and it is now really hot in the middle. So I think this pie is about done now. I'm just going to give it another go just to be on the safe side, because it's quite a thick, tall pie. This, it's not necessarily the size that I would normally air fry. It was just that it's locked down. I wanted to show you how to do pot pies, and this was the only alternative one I could find. I was gutted about that, but at least I'm showing you a pie. So anyway, that pie is cooked. It's perfect. It's taken a lot longer. So what I suggest you do is, if you're doing pies in the air fryer, that you start off with our recommended 18 minutes, check on your pie and adjust the time. If at 18 minutes you think, right, it's nearly there, then you just give it a spray to be able to give it its golden glow for a few minutes. And if it's not there and you're thinking, right, this is way off, then add about an extra 8 minutes like we've done, and then you can check on it. And as you can see, it's now done. So this is the small of the chicken pot pies. I have gone to try this one and not the other one, because I have an absolute hatred towards mushrooms. I'm not a fussy eater, but mushrooms, I'm just disgusted by them. So the other one was chicken and mushroom, and this is the basic chicken one. That is delicious. It's like I've gone back over 20 years. I used to live in a halfway home, and we had a very little amount of money to spend on groceries. So we used to buy the cheapo packs of chicken pies, and that was our meals for the day. Fortunately, this is lovely. If you ever wanted to do a chicken pot pie in the air fryer from frozen, then do it like this. And of course, if you've made your own as well, you can throw those in too. They're just fantastic. So I finished my chicken pot pie, and I just wanted to mention very quickly how amazing these containers are for cooking in the air fryer. So whenever you are cooking something, whether it's in the air fryer or not, save these up and then use them for all sorts of meals in the air fryer, because they're just fantastic. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the Recipe This family. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook and Pinterest. We also have a weekly newsletter at recipethis.com/newsletter, where we share with you our latest kitchen gadget recipes, what we're cooking in the Milner kitchen, and so much more. As well as this, we recommend that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then whenever we have a new video, you will be the first to know. And if you want to know about all our future videos, then I recommend you hit the bell for instant notifications. But even better, we now have a podcast. It's called Magic with Gadgets. Simply search Magic with Gadgets on your favourite podcast player and you'll find us there.